on set. People loved your performance. Would you like to tell us a little bit about this performance then?
Tonight was amazing. Absolutely loved it. I mean, I've played for Luminosity quite a few times already, and I know there's a very passionate trance crowd. So I totally enjoyed playing everything from, you know, the 132 groovier stuff all the way up to like some 136, 137 action. Maybe not some 138 quite, but some 136.
Let's talk a little bit about the best moments of tonight's set then.
Yeah, there were some amazing moments tonight. It's hard to choose one. It was a great night. Some of the highlights probably John O'Callaghan and Audrey Gallet, Big Sky. That really went off tonight. And there were a few others as well. Hold That Sucker Down as well. So yeah, amazing night. Really passionate crowd.
Would you like now to tell us a little bit about your album? Why do you believe this album is entitled You Are Lucky People? Why we are lucky to have this album?
Well, the title originally came from me sitting on a flight, and I was just thinking how lucky I am to be traveling the world, meeting lots of people, and you know, that kind of grew into this, hey, I'm pretty lucky that, you know, the way this scene is, and that we're lucky that we have this music that everybody loves, and it kind of grew from there really, and originally it was just for a single, and I actually went and wrote that single a couple of months later, having this title kind of in mind, and once I'd written that single I felt that I'd found a direction I wanted to take for last year, and that was the album Born for me. It was time to do the third artist album, and I wanted to really come back to trance, not necessarily go back to the old school trance. It was more about, for me, having that trance feeling and creating an album that, you know, goes from start to finish, flows, and is a whole kind of body of work for an hour and 15 minutes. And so I kept on releasing music all through the year, and I took all those elements and then put it together at the end, which for me is the album, is CD1 of We Are Lucky People, which is the whole thing, all the runs from start to finish. I was pretty blown away by the response to the album. You know, I mean, things the way they're going. It's been this whole EDM rise, and what I was doing, certainly with the album stuff, was kind of going a little bit in the other direction, going a little bit more melodic as opposed to everything being built around a drop. Don't get me wrong, I love amazing drops, and you know, I strive in the studio to produce amazing drops. But for me, this past year was all about melody. You know, I wanted to create something that lasted longer than the latest track that has a big drop. So as for the success of it, you know, as I say, I was blown away. I was quite surprised. I think that the album was a genuine album. It was an attempt to do something a little bit different for me, and I think it came across musically as something that wasn't forced. And I think as people have listened to it, discovered it, that they've realised that, you know, it was a genuine effort from me to be something special. Forget what's going on trend-wise. This was about what I wanted to do that year, and I genuinely wanted to do something that I thought was beautiful. So maybe that's what people have got also from the album.
So do you enjoy to produce more vocal tunes, or do you like more the instrumental ones that you can do a lot with melody? Or do you enjoy working with vocalists?
I love working with vocalists, you know, working with Susanna, Betsy Larkin, Kate Cannell. You know, I can go on. All the vocalists actually on this album have been amazing to work with, and I'll certainly be working with all of them again as well. For me, I'm torn between vocal and non-vocal, and that's kind of reflected in the album actually. It's literally 50% vocal, 50% not vocal. So I'm always focusing on the music side. The vocalists bring in that extra element for me. I don't write the lyrics, you know, they come to and bring that element to it. So I like that kind of way that works as well. You know, it's two people coming together, bringing very different parts, and me as a producer putting it all together in one kind of.
So did you send usually the music to the vocalists and they send you back the vocals, or they send you first the vocals and you put the music? How this collaboration works out?
Most of my collaboration with vocalists work that they send me a vocal, or they may ask for some inspiration, but I mean, I don't tend to write many tracks where I leave space for a vocal. I've never enjoyed doing that because for me, I have to really get involved in the whole track as a whole. So I don't write any kind of like, you know, small sections which then allow space for something else. So what I tend to do is actually send them ideas, not always even my own, you know, that's like, please use this for inspiration or this, you know. Alternatively, I just say, look, grab an instrumental piece of music that really inspires you, sing over it. You don't even have to send me what it sounds like with the original piece of music. Just give me the a cappella and let me have my imagination, and you know, I'll create something new. That's the best way I feel.
Which track from the album was finished very quickly, and which one took you longer to finish it?
You know, the weird thing is that's actually a difficult question because I have to say that last year was a very inspirational year. I found it very easy to make the music. The hard thing was finding the time to actually make the music because I was touring so much. But as for inspiration, I was finding everything was really flowing well because I had this concept in mind for the album, and that's what you often need, is that idea of where you're going. So I can't really single out any track that particularly gave me any problem. I have to say 2013 was the easiest year for writing music for sure, 100%. So I was lucky.
What things inspired you to write the tracks?
Well, I get inspiration from all kinds of areas. I mean, you know, most of the time you're pressured to get in the studio when you can. You know, you're back on a Monday from touring, and you know you need to make the most you can of that time you have in the week. And I would say the inspiration normally comes from the scene in general. You know, you aspire to make something that sounds as beautiful as that moment in that track, or as rocking as that moment in that track. So what's going on around you often inspires. However, you know, the sweetest moments are always the ones where you take inspiration from something in life, a place, a person, an event. And you know, there have been a few events in the past few years which I have taken direct inspiration from. And things like Destination Anywhere, you know, I mean, that track was written with my bachelor weekend in mind. Had an amazing weekend going sailing with some good friends, and it was an eventful weekend as well. You know, the second day the weather was really pretty rough, and you know, we had a great time. And the boat was called Destination Anywhere. I took a photo of it, blah blah blah, you know, and the cover ended up being actually a photo of my foot kind of standing, just about to get on the boat.
Oh, really?
With the nameplate Destination Anywhere. And for the album, I'd actually taken some recordings as well on my iPhone, just of the kind of howling winds that were going on as we got off that boat. It's like, okay, I'm going to remember this, I'm going to do something with this. And, you know, 6 months later I wrote the track Destination Anywhere. For the album, it really means something because there are those elements from that day, the samples I used as the intro. So it's always nice when you can bring a personal touch to it, you know, and ultimately that's what art is when you put your you really put yourself into something. So, you know, that's been the story of this album for me. Nothing was forced. I was very inspired last year, you know, from all angles, and I took the chance to make something which I'm very proud of, basically. To pick some favourites?
Yeah.
Well, I would say Destination Anywhere for obvious reasons. Fireflies as well. I have to say, quite coincidentally, if you've heard the album version, you'll hear there's some effects and things at the beginning, like some crickets kind of setting a scene. I have to say, one of the first times I heard the album, once I'd completed it, was actually when I was in Malaysia on a holiday. I got away after doing the album, went on holiday because I was doing some events in Asia. Had a week in a jungle in Malaysia, and actually, one of the first times I listened to the album complete was in this villa in the middle of nowhere, and you could hear the crickets already. So when that track came in, the cricket was like, no way, I could hear all the kind of crickets and owls and shit going on. So it was quite funny that I ended up listening to the album. Like the second play of the album all the way through was in the jungle, you know.
And of course, now you have as a new single, Crossroads, that is the remixes with some great artists.
Well, the Steve mix was done last year actually. It featured on Translation for Ministry of Sound. and it hadn't had a single release up until now, so I wanted to deliver a full package of remixes for that. Actually, last year I made sure that I didn't do too many remixes. It was all about kind of getting the original versions out, because the idea was to release the music as and when I made it, and that's what I was doing. I was literally finishing a track on a Wednesday, sending it to Armin and all the other DJs, and things moved on from there. Literally, it would be released 4 weeks later, so there was a fast pace. This year, it's nice to hear what everyone's doing to the tracks and interpreting, their own versions of the tracks. And the plan is now to do a few more of those this year.
And are you going to release a remix album as well, Ben?
Yeah, we're building towards that. We're getting quite a few remixes at the moment, and obviously the best ones that we pulled together for a mix album as well. And also I'm focusing on a couple of singles that didn't see the light of day. I mean, obviously you can't release an album with everything released, so there's like 3 tracks that haven't been already released. They include Insatiable with Betsy Larkin, which will be the next single, and we've got a couple of remixes with that as well. Very excited about those. So this year, there's a few more singles left over from the album, a remix album, and in the meantime I'm working on some other stuff, the next project.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about your next single then with Betsy Larkin, how it was written and how the track came together.
Well, the track came together from Betsy literally sending me the vocal. She's very driven to write vocals, and quite often she records them herself, I know, as well. And she sent me this vocal. I was absolutely blown away by it. So that's how it started, and then I built the track as I do, around vocal. And the single is going to come with remixes from, I can tell you, Sean Tyas. There's another remix as well. I won't tell you just yet, but there is a Sean Tyas remix, and it's sounding pretty good.
So you are doing also a back-to-back thing, is it, with St Tyas?
Yeah, but it's funny you mentioned that, actually. Yeah, I'm just about to play God's Kitchen in, I think it's April. Me and Sean have been talking a bit. It's going to be a great idea to do it back-to-back with him as well. So
how did you mix that together? His more banging sound with your more melodic, progressive sound?
Well, I think that's going to be interesting, I mean, it means that we both bring something different to the table, and that's ultimately what you want to do with a DJ set, is bring all these different elements together in one. I think if you have a set that's too straightforward, it's not that exciting. I'm very, very excited to see how we play off each other on that.
Your back-to-back sets with Andy Moore worked really well. I remember your back-to-back set at Tomorrowland, and it was amazing.
I remember Tomorrowland being the one where I was having a bit of a party myself in the booth. So Andy, I did see there was a picture of me standing on the decks while Andy's busy working away, and I'm going crazy. I have to say, I was maybe doing the partying for both of us on that night. But working with Andy is really good fun. I have huge respect for Andy. He's an absolutely amazing musician, an absolute genius, and. I played a good 5 or 6 sets, including America. Actually, we saw the New Year in together in Oakland to 15,000 people, and that was the first back-to-back we did as well, which was pretty crazy, trying it out in front of 15,000 people. But it's always been fun, and like I say, massive respect. He's a great guy, very talented.
So let's talk a little bit about your record label as well, Lange Recordings. Now you have released every week.
For the label this year, nothing's official yet, but I am looking to develop the way the label works. There's certainly going to be it's going to split into 2 imprints. One's going to be for more of the progressive, house stuff. Another one for more banging kind of stuff. I'll be honest, I'm not really somebody who's into the whole 138 thing. Don't get me wrong, I love the odd 138 track, and it's a great movement, but generally I'm not looking to do a 138. By banging I mean just stuff that is a bit more kind of dark, bit tech trance almost. So we're looking to do that, and then I wouldn't even say house really. It's not house. It's just that you have the more kind of grooved and then you have the more rolling kind of driving stuff. So we're looking to separate that on the label and kind of create two distinctive brands within the label.
Can you have some names? Have you signed any new names that we can mention?
I'm not going to say anything right now. I mean, like I say, it's a time of transition. We want to develop the label. It's been growing massively since we've been working with Enhanced Music as well. They do all the distribution. So really happy with the way it's progressing. But for me, the label needs to kind of focus now on various areas that we want to develop it in. And for me, that needs to have different label imprints within, so people know what to look for and expect. Because I've always been one that wants to, not hone down too much a sound for the label. For me, I want to be open to what's good. If a track's good, I want to be able to release it and get behind it if it's something I'm into. And other people maybe not be quite as open-minded. They want to expect this from this label, this from this label, and I don't want to hone the sound too much to one thing. So this opens up to develop several different sounds.
Okay, and any artists that you would like to mention in your label and you believe that became very well known because of your label?
There's several actually. I mean, there's Noah Newman's very, very creative. He's going down more the kind of EDM route at the minute. Still got Trance Edge though, and some good stuff coming from him. Also people like Rikaz as well. We've had 3 or 4 releases from Rikaz, and he keeps delivering some amazing stuff. So I would certainly say watch out for him. Also Stephen Kirkwood. He's a guy from Scotland. If you don't already know him, and he's got this kind of real dark techie sound. That perhaps tech trance sound that kind of there isn't much of that about at the moment, and it's really kind of grooved, exciting kind of tech trance. So I think there's room for him to really start to get noticed, doing something unique. Also, there's people like Tangle as well. He's been doing some great stuff. I mean, he does quite a lot of good progressive stuff, as well as some more kind of banging stuff he really likes to do across the board. And also Johnny Yono as well from California. Yeah, he's doing some really good kind of on the edge between trance and like groove stuff as well. I'm scared that you could rewind and go back to a load of interviews where I've said it's the year of trance this year, every year for the past 5 years. But trance will always have this special thing. It's not, like you say, as much about the individual tracks. It's about the way people are, and all the people that are working on my label, all the artists, they're in this for a reason, and it's the passion, and that is what trance music's about. You can make some dark stuff, you can make stuff that isn't particularly emotive, but it's the way you do it. There's a lot of chasing the commercial, chasing this, chasing that sound around at the moment, obviously with America kicking off the way it has done over the last couple of years. But for me, trance is about you staying true to what you want to do, and you just following what you want to do. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but you're passionate about it and you're doing it for that reason.
But we have to talk also with your radio show.
In City 150 was pretty crazy, I have to say. Wasn't quite expecting the avalanche of stuff on Twitter, which is going mental. I knew the lineup was great. We had 24 hours of absolute the best names in the business. Marcus Schultz joined us, Paul Van Dyke, Paul Oakenfold, Ferry Corsten, Andy Moore. The list goes on. There were just absolutely everybody in the scene. So I knew it was a great event. But what happened was, I think it was it was #1 trending at one point worldwide, which was amazing. But I think overall on that day it was like the 7th biggest thing in America on Twitter after Thanksgiving. Ultimately for me, the radio show is a way to keep in contact with people. There are a lot of people in the scene that don't get to see you play, very often. Particularly, people even don't get to go to clubs. So the radio show is another way to connect to your fan base, and I really enjoy doing it. I try and do the track list live every Wednesday night when the live broadcast is on AHFM. And it's nice to better connect to people. People ask questions or whatever, and
So you are spending a lot of time when you do your radio show. It's not like you're just recording a DJ set and sending it off.
No, for me, even though it's not actually broadcast live in the sense that I do the voiceovers live. For me, it is a live event every Wednesday. I'm there, sitting there, if I can be there anyway. Ready to interact with everybody and have a chat with people. So it's an important event every week. It's not just a mix. It's more than that for me, definitely.
Okay, so what someone has to miss from his life to become Lange then?
You know what? It's really difficult to answer this one because I'm very lucky to be doing what I'm doing, as you know. That's what I feel, very much so. I would say you do have to make sacrifices, You have to make sacrifices in the sense that life does become pretty hectic. You're busy, you're on the road all the time, you're constantly almost on call, I mean, on the way to the venue I'm dealing with stuff that I need to be dealing with, and the traveling is very difficult. You do have to kind of really give yourself to that as well. That can cause problems, I know, for a lot of people in the industry. That causes problems with relationships. I'm very lucky that my wife is so understanding. She has such a passion for the music as well, and a belief in me, which means that she's happy for me to travel the world. Obviously, she travels with me when she can, but so without that kind of support, I would say you'd have to give a lot up. It would be very difficult indeed. So yeah, you give a lot up, but at the same time, nothing's better than the reward you get from this. The meeting everybody every week, meeting fans who say that your music has touched their lives is just incredible, and you never really get used to that either. It's like, wow, you're so
powerful.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
As a medium, music is so powerful for some people to change their life, to make them more happy, to make them more hopeful.
I mean, you do take it for granted to an extent. Everybody takes everything that's good for granted, And but you get these wake-up calls when you get an email. I get sent through anything that comes through from fans or whatever, and I'm looking at what they're saying. I'm like, wow, this person's life has been really affected by not just my music, but trance music in general or whatever, and you realise that how important this is, to people, and what position you're in. You're such a privileged position.
Exactly.
But it's difficult as well sometimes,
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to be at home with my wife. Let's just watch a movie on the couch, But it's a very busy life, so you have to fight for those moments, the quiet moments as well. It can get on top of you.
And also, I have noticed that you are very welcoming to your fans. You always want to take a photo with them at the end of the gig.
It can get on top of you sometimes. I mean, sometimes you arrive in the city and you've been traveling whatever amount of time. You're absolutely exhausted. You have to kind of switch on sometimes. But this is, like I say, it's a job. You have a certain responsibility with this job, You're lucky to be here. There are a queue of people who want to be where you are, and you have to respect that. Coming up this year, I have a compilation that's just been announced, actually, with Richard Durand. I'm doing In Search of Sunrise.
Oh wow! Are you gonna be the second mixer, eh?
Yeah. It's coming in. I think at the end of May. So I'm really excited to be doing this compilation. Obviously, this compilation has quite a history, and it's been great to be invited to do it. So really looking forward to that. So look out for that in end of May.
When are you gonna record the mix? Are you gonna wait for all the tracks and record it in May? Let's say some days before you send it to label? Or?
No. It needs to be done before that. Obviously, to do the CD manufacturing stuff, but. We always leave it as late as we can to get all the exclusives in. So I'm currently looking for stuff and pulling it all together.
Why do you give so much attention on your music videos?
Well, I can't take any credit for the music videos. We did a couple of really special videos actually in 2012. The Our Way Home video was a particular special one for me. I thought it was an amazing interpretation of the song, and the production team, Junction 15, who did that video, I have a huge respect for them. They're very, very talented, and they managed to it's almost like, for me, the song was like 80%, 85% there. When they did the video, it was 100%. They really made a nice piece of work. So videos are important, but I don't overbear on how the video is going to be. It's nice that you have these other artistic people involved and they express themselves. So that's what we try and do with video producers, is bring in people who have like some kind of quirky idea or whatever, and then it makes it, additionally an extra kind of layer to what we're trying to do. Doing a music video often doesn't benefit the actual music, the record, from a label point of view that much. It's like an extra layer for me anyway. It's an extra layer of doing something that's interesting for the fan base. You don't directly always benefit financially from it. The royalties, to be honest, are quite small from YouTube anyway.
Okay, so Stuart, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope to see you soon on another event.
I hope so too. See you soon.
Excellent.